Today I am reviewing this year's production of Hartford Stages' A Christmas Carol, a ghost story of Christmas, by Charles Dickens, adapted and directed by Michael Wilson, running through December 29th at Hartford Stage at 50 Church Street in Hartford, Connecticut. Don't be a Scrooge. Come and visit my Patreon page where you can, for as little as $1 a month, support my work here, as well as my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee, available on Spotify, where we just finished recording our episode on the film Ray, which should be out within the next week or so. There are the occasional extras that pop up on Patreon as well, so be sure to go and check it out. Thank you to all my patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton tier patrons, and welcome to the new ones. A link will be in the description. Like Christmas on the Rocks at TheatreWorks Hartford, I make it a point to see A Christmas Carol at Hartford Stage every year. If you've been following this channel for any period of time, you know that I have a personal connection with the show, having worked backstage on it for 2 years. It's been 11 years since the last time I did that, but the fond memories still linger with me. Some of the cast is still around from then as well, and it's good to catch up with them when I can. Michael Wilson's adaptation of A Christmas Carol is the most faithful stage adaptation I've ever seen, telling the tale of Ebenezer Scrooge, played for the second year by Alan Gilmore, the miserly old moneylender whose greed has corrupted his soul to the point of total decrepit vileness. After a warning from his deceased business partner, Jacob Marley, played by Noble Shropshire, he is visited by three spirits with the mission of redeeming the soul of the vile man. Aside from the vendors that Scrooge is harassing for back debts, who have a connection to the three spirits, the story is almost word for word lifted from the book. But what makes Hartford Stage's production worth coming back year after year is the production quality. The dark, moody Victorian feel of Tony Straiges' set design and the backdrop of London is appropriately ominous. The voluminous amounts of stage fog adds to the otherworldly atmosphere. There is gold glitter galore that is used effectively to play out the magical introduction of the Ghost of Christmas Present. Of course, there's the arrival of Jacob Marley, who in this production rises from the floorboards of Scrooge's bedroom with dramatic pronouncement. This is all coupled with brilliant flashes of lighting design by Robert Wierzel and sound by John Gromada as lightning flashes, screams echo through the halls of Scrooge's home, and so forth. This carries on throughout the play as foreboding spirits speak with resonance throughout the house. Lauding the design is no disparagement to the cast and direction. Wilson, who returned to direct the show again last year after a lengthy hiatus, keeps the production a bit more refined than it had been in previous years before his return, when it had started to lean too heavy on gags, playing for laughs when it wasn't necessary, and letting the story carry its own intended weight. Still, having said that, Gilmore's performance this year is a little looser than last year, which I liked. It allowed for Scrooge's lack of self-awareness to play for the occasional bit of humor, which makes the humor play out a bit more natural. But I feel Gilmore tends to default to angry in most of the first act. I would have liked to have seen a bit more texture behind his Scrooge. Scrooge is a lonely man. Get some hidden resolve to suppress feelings of loss and regret that he's not ready to address. Also, maybe a little more expression of lust when it comes to money would be nice to vary up his actions a bit, particularly with the solicitors. Almost all of the flying effects are still gone, which is a little disappointing, but it is balanced with what I believe are more ghosts than the show has ever had. These are ghosts who are outside of Marley and the three spirits, played by students from the local college, the Hart School. They come from everywhere, the ghosts, so keep your feet out of the aisles. They're going to pop up somewhere. The rest of the cast is still great. Shropshire maintains the spiritual weariness of Marley while playing up the begrudging housekeeper, Mrs. Dilber, which is one of my favorite roles in the show, and one of my favorite performances. Patrick O'Conus is perfectly sentimental as Scrooge's clerk, Bob Cratchit, but I might have liked a little bit more fear of the future in regards to his son, Tiny Tim, subtextualizing his performance of the family dinner on Christmas Day with the Ghost of Christmas Present. Rebecca Jones, John Andrew Morrison, and Mauricio Miranda return as the three vendors, with Jones and Morrison playing the ghosts of Christmas past and present as well. All have found a comfortable place in their roles. Granted, Jones has been in the show for as long as I've been involved with it, and she's a seasoned veteran and has tempered her performance as the Ghost of Christmas Present perfectly. It's a mix of empathy over Scrooge's painful past with foreboding over his inability to recognize his own hand in his past. I like Eric Bloomquist as Scrooge's nephew Fred, who is well-mannered and full of life as he interacts with his uncle and later with his family during his dinner party during the Christmas present sequence. but I feel he could be a little more determined and set in his ways as a younger Scrooge during the Christmas past sequence. Hartford Stages A Christmas Carol is always evolving. There's a tag at the end of the first act, which I'm not sure if I like it or not. It's there. I get why it's there. It has an emotional beat, but I also kind of prefer the way it used to end without him there, without Scrooge there, dwelling on the events that have just happened. I think the blackout is far more dramatic and impactful. Performances are going to ebb and flow depending on the cast and how they take up the roles that year and what new directions they receive or what new inspiration they have. This year the cast isn't the best I've seen, but under Wilson's direction they still give a solid dramatic and sometimes dynamic performance. The production is still overall exciting and thrilling, and if you're in the Hartford area this holiday season, this is, as always, a must-see. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below if you'd like to see A Christmas Carol, A Ghost Story of Christmas. I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be links to my Patreon and Spotify pages, as well as my social media where you can follow and support my work. You can also support me by liking and sharing this video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be the Playhouse on Park's production of the Ugly Christmas Sweater musical. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.